Welcome to Audio Energy, and my name's Shannon. We're looking today at the Pensado's Place mix competition. The band is Jesus on the Main Line. The song is called Always With Me. I just want to run through my mix today and show you a couple of different things that I've been doing with my mix. What I've done basically, I'm going to try and do two videos, about 15 minutes each, and essentially look at a couple of different things that might help. And I'm going to do that now by first beginning to look at a couple of things about the way you set up your session. Okay. Now, one thing I did read is that a number of people were having a little bit of difficulty with the size of their the mix being on their computer, and it was tuning up CPU and tuning up RAM and things like that. So one thing you can actually do, well, there's two things actually. Once you get your session open and you put all your color coding in, because I always like to color code and make sure that you're separating all the different instrumentation. As we can see here, there's quite a lot of it, down to your master. All right. So once you have all this set up and you have everything the way you like it to begin with, I would highlight this first set. So say if we're working on the drums over here, which is your light blue, I would go right along, click the first one here, go right along to the master channel there. I just held shift and clicked on that last one. It highlights all the channels. Then go to hide and make inactive, and that way you're just dealing with your drum mix. Okay. I haven't actually added in this part any subs or anything like that yet. Subs meaning auxiliary channels. They are in some later mixes. Now, once you work on your drums, you can set it up as a group. You can hit Control G, and you have your group there. Okay. Of course, what I'll do is highlight these ones. Control G, and there's my drum group. Okay. Now, as you can see, it doesn't have auxiliaries there because at this point I haven't included them in. I'm just working on listening to each track as it goes along, listen to my kick, clean it up, and do that sort of thing as well. Another thing you want to do is try and listen to everything centered first, and you can give it a good sort of mix up and EQ and all that sort of stuff, and then pan it. So like with your kicks and your snare, keep them all running up the center. When it comes to your rack, that'll be your drums. I'm not a drummer, I'm a guitarist. And then your ride, so your rack you might want to sort of pull over here a little bit, or if it's that one there, or if it's this one over here, just place them. Give it a little bit of space, okay? With your ride, I assume that's the hats over here. If it's over towards your left at about 2 o'clock, and pan it at 2 o'clock. Go out to about, say, 35, 36, just give it that sort of dimension as well, okay? Now, when you're EQing, a good idea, and I'm just going to use, and for most of this mix, I didn't use a lot of EQ. Basically, I just used this Pro Tools one because I like it. I think it's straightforward and it works. One of the best ways to do this is a couple of different ideas about EQing. What I've done recently finds really well is push your Q, or the width of your band, right to 0 here. Crank it, make sure it's on band pass. Yeah. Crank it like that so it's really narrow, and crank it right up. And that way you're getting a very small gap in here as to where some of that noise is in your frequencies. And once you narrow that out and hammer it out, just pull it right down to about here, bring it down 3 dB, and that's it. Once you get that particular frequency, and do that right across the band. If you really want to, you can sort of roll off the end, make it a little bit sharp, set it, say, 40. There we are, 40 hertz. Bang, done. So that's how easy EQ can be. Okay, and the best thing with doing it that method is all you're doing is reducing some of the bad qualities of certain harmonics that are in there that you don't want. And I'll actually bring this back up again for a minute, because you'll find that usually through this whole area here in this region, there's a lot of boxiness and kind of crappy noise. However, for brass and trumpets, it's kind of this range is actually where a lot of the qualities of some of those more brass instruments tend to lie, as well as in some of the upper harmonics up here as well. So that's something worth considering. Each instrument has its own sort of frequency field that has its best tonality in. Okay, so this is our drums. We've put it all together, we've given it a clean up. Let's go have a look at the field here. Now, when you're recording drums in the studio, some of you may have this experience, some of you may not. You'll find that you get a lot of bleed from into the microphone from other sections of the drums or even other instruments if they're all doing a whole big live thing in that area. What you can do, you can either put a gate on. Okay, so you go down into dynamics and find a gate. You know, what have we got here? There's a gate here, and that's for a mono. I like to use this one here. Oh, there you go. That's your Pro Tools one. And you set your gate up, so basically you're only getting that transient as best as possible. Okay, now I'll do some more videos on gates and things later on, but this is just a run through of how to set things up. The other option is, probably not the best option, but it can help, is if you click on here, hit Control U, I'll bring this down. This is strip silence, and what you can do is, see if we can get this going in here. There we go. This is setting up the areas and your thresholds. Let's move this on. There we are. So as you can see there, start and clip end, you can actually adjust how much of your clip is going in. Okay, and what this is going to do is, you see that, I just want to reduce this a little bit, so you can actually clean off and clip out some of this crap here. If I raise the threshold, there we are, that's better. But you'll see the problem is around here it's going to cut off half my transient. So you can keep playing around with that, and then you strip it off and away it goes. You know, it'll get rid of all the bleed and just leave your main transient in there. But just be careful doing that, because you can cut off some of the tail of your transient, and that won't sound good. Once you do that, you can then put some fades on. Actually, I'll show you how to do that. Let's bring it back. And let's say I strip that. There we are. You can then go in and click Control F, and you can determine, like, the beginning of the little clip here. So at the beginning here, you can determine how much fade in, like 3 milliseconds, and at the end as well, 10 milliseconds. And once that, you can even decide to change them, all that sort of thing as well. And what that's going to do, cancel that. What that does is stop clicks and pops and that kind of thing coming into the audio. So by putting those little bits on the end there, it softens off the edges of the clip, so you're not hearing that click kind of sound. It can get annoying. So that's one way that you can clean up your audio and just have those main sort of transients there. So you can use a gate, or you can use strip silence, just play around with it a little bit and make sure not to cut it off. The third way is to just, you know, you can highlight your clip here. Let's go to slip and highlight your clip. So I just want that, you know, and then hit B, and that's chopped it out, yeah. And then if you want to, you know, you put a cut here. Let's say delete, bang, gone. You know what I mean? So that's another way you can do it, but that is a little bit more fussing around. So that's one way to look at a number of things when you're setting up a mix. Okay. So I'm going to close this now, and let's see how we go for time. Let's open my little video thing here. Let's have a look. Okay, so we're at almost 10 minutes. So I'll go another 5 minutes on a couple of things. I'm going to close this session down, and as we see, have a look at recent here. Now you can see in here, I've actually worked out it's like 1.12, then it goes to level 2, level 2.1, and I'm just working on my levels. I've given each stage of my work and my progress through the job a little bit individual titles and that sort of thing as well. So what I'm going to do now is let's open the guitars. Don't save. I'm going to open the session that I've done up to guitars and have a look at that and how it's going. And this is just basic ways where you can save your work and the progress that you've made along the way. So looking at my guitar tracks now, I basically put these ones here are distorted. So if we have a look at these, it's these ones here, all these tracks here. So I've put them all together. Essentially, you got one octave, octave 2, clear distortion, and octaves. You know, they're all basically the same thing, just in different sections, and in different frequencies and sound, octaves, so forth. So what we do then, once we've got all those, and then I've arranged, we've got the electric slide and ambient kind of sounds here, and then over here these are all acoustic qualities of the guitar plus a clean electric plucking and fast picking as well, but they're all clean. So I've kept all my clean and acoustic kind of sounds in one section through an acoustic guitar bus. I've also added a glue verb, which is a short reverb, a long reverb so I can control the tails, and some acoustic delay as well. So, and then I'll put up my sends to each of these. Okay. Now, on my guitar bus, I use Slate. You can see my review on Slate tools for this. I've just put in some EQ and a little bit of quality that will lift some of the essence of the frequencies within the instruments. Okay, so they're all being summed into this one bus. I'm controlling the EQ as well as, so this EQ here is basically reducing the noisy poor elements of the frequency band within that instrument. I did that all the way along, and then I've put in my EQ and just tried to lift up a little bit of what's remaining, all the good qualities of that. I've given it a bit of a boost with the silkiness in the higher mid ranges and a bit of a boost in the low as well. Nice sort of punchy sound there. Then over here for my glue verb, I've just done a plate, short, very short pre-delay, and the shortest possible reverb as well. So what this does, you're removing all the tails and you're removing early reflections within the room of your reverb. Because what happens when you're in a room and you've got reverb on, these things are to kind of give natural quality to the sound and give a bit more depth and stuff. But what happens is sound reverberates and bounces off walls and surfaces in all directions, and it can kind of sound crappy. So what you want to do is reduce that as much as possible and just give a very sort of audible level of verb and space on that music, but also reduce all the tails and things, so you're not having this long down, almost into a delay kind of effect. So what glue reverb does is reduce your reflections and give that essence of space to the instrument without it having noise coming back at you. It's just a way to fill it out and give it a bit of a spatial feel, and in the end it sounds quite good. The long reverb, well, I've used plate again. I like plate reverbs. I put on a large. I've still kept it short again, but increased the pre-delay here to about 20 milliseconds. It's still not quite within a recognisably audible range where you can hear the difference between the original sound and the reflection, but it does give it a bit more of that roomy kind of feel. And then the decay is 200 milliseconds. That is audible. You can hear that in a human range, but it kind of depletes out quite quickly. Okay. For my delay, I have a stereo delay on here, and I have the what are they? Eighth notes. And I've set these basically a dotted eighth and a regular eighth note. Okay, and this will set the time for it, so you have this movement. I've also done negative feedback on the left channel and 10% feedback on the right, so they're kind of playing against each other, and it gives a nice kind of kind of effect. You'll hear it in the mix. Okay, so I might leave it at that for the moment and go on to part 2 of this video, and we'll just have a bit of a look here. Yep, about 15 minutes, there we go, that's pretty good. So watch section 2 if you'd like to see. I'm going to be covering more about the rest of the mix when it's all finished, the bus compression, and I'll also be having a bit of a look at the master setup as well. And at the end of the second video, if I've got a bit more time, I might put in about a 10-second clip of the track of what I've done so far. Stick around.